sisters and brothers, APWU and Union family, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We have many Zoom calls and webinars and training, and often we're talking about our specific issues to the American Postal Workers Union. But it's very important that we always talk about the broader issues, solidarity at home and abroad, and we are a solidarity union. So tonight's call is focused on 4 or 5 areas of struggle of our co-workers, of the postal workers, federal workers, and postal workers in other parts of the world, about the struggles that are going on. And all those struggles, the outcome of those struggles will have an impact on how we're doing here, as well as postal workers and the American Postal Workers Union. And what we do here will have an impact on others. So we're really glad you joined us tonight. And we want to learn about these struggles, and we also want to take action to support our union family anywhere and everywhere in the world. So we're very privileged tonight to be joined by union leaders. I have to apologize for me being on the phone. We had some technical difficulties in our union office today, and our internet went out. So please bear with me. But we are really privileged to be joined by some of the union leaders that came on tonight. I'm going to introduce them briefly all together, and then we'll go to their fairly short presentations. And folks, we hope to keep this call to about an hour because we know everyone's busy and we're not going to let this drag on, but we'll try to keep it to about an hour. And after the presentations, if we have time, we'll have the opportunity to take a few questions. So let me just briefly share with you who we're going to be hearing from tonight. Jan Stinson will come on first. She's the president of really our sister Canadian Union of Postal Workers. We've learned a lot from over the years and gained a lot of inspiration from. And Sister Jan will tell us about the ongoing strike struggles by CUPW members, the proposal of the Canadian government to drastically cut mail services there, and their ongoing struggle to save Canada Post and win better job security for the Canadian Postal Workers Union. Faraz Khan is the legislative director of the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers. Brother Faraz will talk to us about the federal government shutdown and how it's affecting their civil service members, and of course, the public of the services that they provide. He is joining us on behalf of IFPTE President Matt Biggs, who is, as we speak, in vital meetings specifically about the shutdown, which is why he won't be able to join us in person. Brother Imad Tamaza is the International Secretary of the Palestinian Postal Service Workers Union, and he's joining us all the way in the middle of the night from the West Bank. The PPSWU is our sister postal union in Palestine, whose members have faced untold hardship, such as being forced to work without pay, seeing public services cut, and of course, the intensifying difficulty of daily life with the war in Gaza and other parts of Palestine. And finally, well, actually, we got 2 finalists. We'll hear from Jasmine Lottie. Jasmine is a barista at Starbucks in Buffalo and a leader in the Starbucks Workers United. She is the lead bargaining delegate for her members as the Starbucks Workers Union continues in their efforts to win a fair contract from the coffee giant and the billionaire owners, may I add. Our members may remember Sister Jasmine, where she joined us at our 2022 convention in National Harbor in Maryland to talk about the ongoing, and by the way, not just talk about it, but inspired us about the ongoing organizing wave happening in Starbucks stores across the country, and led by young people stepping up and demanding a voice at work and a better life. So with no further ado, Sister Jan, thanks so much for joining us. We've been following your strike. Your members have led over the past several weeks in relation to Canada Post. So please tell us what some of your priorities are in the contract battle, some of the challenges you're facing, and what's at stake is the government. The Canadian government is proposing big cuts to Canada Post. And again, thanks so much for joining us, President of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, Sister Jan Simpson.
And thank you very much, Mark, for the invitation. I bring greetings on behalf of our members to your members as well. And congratulations on ratifying your new collective agreement at 97% by your membership. I know it's not easy to bargain in this time with the government that we're facing right now. So, CPW began bargaining with Canada Post in 2023 November to try to get two ratifiable collective agreements, one for our rural and suburban mail carriers, and the other ones for our urban operations bargaining unit. So we thought, it would be a quick round of bargaining, but that didn't happen whatsoever. We've seen us be on the picket lines for over 32 days in December of 2024, as well as not too long ago in September. And right now we're in what we call rotating strikes, and also flyer bans in different parts of the provinces. We're trying to ratify collective agreements to ensure that, we have good public services as well as good jobs within our communities, and to expand and have a sustainable public post office. But at every turn of the bargaining, we've seen the government intervening and, giving Canada Post an opportunity to not really come to the bargaining table and bargain properly with us. As I mentioned before, we went on strike in November of 2023, and the government intervened there for the first time with what's called a Section 107. They stopped our legal strike and put it on what they call a pause. And then to go even further, they've imposed what was called a Section 108, which was a commission. Usually in Canada, every 5 years, you have what's called a mandate review to review how the post office is, and you have a full, transparent process where the Canadian public and all stakeholders can be included and testify either orally or by doing written submissions. Instead, they had a 2-day commission led by Mr. William Kaplan to assess what was needed at Canada Post. And out of that came some really harsh cuts. And we saw the new minister, Minister Lightbound, in September. He implemented a lot of these recommendations from Mr. Kaplan without even having the full public postal review. He talked about, community mailboxes. So right now we go to the door, if we have mail for the day, we go to the door to the different homes, and he wants to eliminate and put in a place approximately 4 million homes will lose their door-to-door delivery. We were able to fight back against that when the previous government under Stephen Harper tried to do the same thing. This would cause a lot of job loss for our members across the country, and also many of the community people who receive the door-to-door delivery, especially elderly people and those living with disabilities will be the most impacted when you eliminate the door-to-door delivery. We have what's called a moratorium on our retail counters where we sell the stamps. And for that, they want to close those across the country and have what's called the franchises, like a Staples, for example, what you have there in America. We have the different pharmacies that have this service available to them. So in our collective agreement, we have about 423 of them that are protected, and they want to close these and possibly close other ones across the country that are protected under the government's moratorium. So we're also pushing back against that as well, because many rural and remote areas will be impacted, because in some of these areas, the only federal building which they have is the post office. So for us, they need to expand services at the post office and offer, for example, postal banking, and make it into a community hub where people can go and do all their services in one location. They also want to change the delivery standards. So they want to say, for example, if a letter is supposed to be delivered in 1 day or 2 days, they want to expand the time and not have to use the air anymore, maybe have it sent by ground. And that would allow them to change the delivery standard. And also right now, what they did too, for the first time, we've been pushing very, very hard for them to do a stamp price increase. We're one of the few that didn't have a stamp price increase during the COVID time. So they actually did a stamp price increase at the first quarter of this year, and they made $376 million in the first 2 quarters of the year. So we know that by increasing that would allow them to actually make money, because right now Canada Post is losing money through a lot of mismanagement. And also in this round of bargaining, what we saw was they pushed a lot of the parcels to their competitor Purolator. For us, that's a real problem, because Doug Ettinger, who is the CEO of Canada Post, also sits on the board of directors of Purolator, as well as many current and past Canada Post representatives. So for us, that's a conflict of interest because they have a lot of the knowledge of how the work is done at Canada Post. And therefore, by moving this work over to them, we saw Pure Later increase their revenue, and Canada Post lost their revenue by almost a similar amount. And that was really hard for us during bargaining because they're in the media messaging that, they're hemorrhaging money and they need to cut workers and have bad contracts in order for them to be successful. But we know Canada Post has the ability to expand services. And once we get ratifiable collective agreements, we then be able to bring back the business. Also, the way how the government intervened in our strike was they forced a vote on our membership. Canada Post put forward 2 offers, and they did a forced vote across the country of our membership. We were able to mobilize the membership to have a 70% turn down these offers from Canada Post. So once that happened, you figured, okay, Canada Post would return to the table and bargain new collective agreements. But instead, what they did with Minister Lightbound's recommendations, they came back to the table with the exact same old offer from before and 18 more pages of more rollbacks. So it was a real slap in the face to the membership and the leadership of CUPW. So just recently, they had what was called a government standing committee where I was able to testify and talk about the importance of having a full public mandate review and the importance of coming back to the bargaining table and bargaining these ratifiable collective agreements. So we returned to the bargaining table a few days ago with Canada Post with the help of mediators to try to get 2 ratifiable collective agreements. And that's where we are right now. That was kind of in a nutshell, the 2 years of bargaining into just a few minutes. But it's important for us to really recognize the government interventions that we're seeing across this country, and it's causing the employers to come to the bargaining tables and not really bargain because they know the government will be there to intervene and to support them. And when you do use the leverage which you have is a strike and to withdraw your labor, they then stop that. And that's what the real problem is. But currently we're having rotating strikes across the country, as well as flyer bans in various regions to keep our strike going, to put pressure on the employer, but also take some of the pressure off of the Canadian public as well as our membership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. And if I can ask a quick question now, and then we'll move on. What can we do as members of the American Postal Workers Union and obviously the institution of the American Postal Workers Union to help in solidarity? Are there any specific things that we can do in the United States to help the cause? Because I think our listeners heard a lot of familiarity in what you're raising to the kind of battles we're facing here. Do you have any specific things that you think would help the cause there, which in turn will obviously help our cause here?
Well, having this webinar tonight, Mark, is a great first step for us. It allows us to share our stories with your members across the country, as well as, if you go to our webpage, cupw.ca, we have what's called our Hands Off Our Post Office. And it's a campaign where your members could put their names in there and send messages to our government to let them know, to come to the table and bargain ratifiable collective agreements, but also talk to their friends and families and share what's happening in Canada. I'm sure many of them have Canadian friends and they can share our messaging for us. It's very simple. It's a real clear message. We're fighting for good public services, good jobs within the communities, and a sustainable, expanded public post office. So I think our cross-border campaigns that we do have together are a way that we can also work to assist you, and you can help us as well.
Okay, sister, thanks so much. And next up, Brother Faraz. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Yep, Brother Faraz Khan. And brother, your union represents federal employees at places like NASA, the Justice Department, the Social Security Administration, and other federal agencies. If you could share with us what's happening to your civil service members, how the shutdown is affecting all of us, including the public, and how postal workers can help bring a favorable and successful end that addresses not only the shutdown, but the healthcare crisis in this country, so that it at least doesn't get worse. But how postal workers can help us bring a favorable end to the shutdown, which is really a lockout by the United States government against the federal workers. Brother, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having IFPT and having me here. IFPT President Matt Biggs sends his regrets. He wishes he could be here. Our union has the utmost respect for the APWU and the work that your members do here. So it's an honor to be here, and it's what an occasion to be here. Today we are now into the longest government shutdown in American history. Our members in the federal government make up a small part of the broad scope of the federal government. We represent about 36,000 federal workers. President Dimondstein, you described what some of them do and which agencies some of them are at. Overall, there's about 2.2 million federal workers. Right now, there's something around 700,000 federal employees that are working, having missed a full paycheck, and they are about to miss a second paycheck next week. These are federal workers that are on the job during this shutdown, which really is a lockout. And it's, it is as unconscionable as it gets that there are people that are working right now and they don't know when they will get their next paycheck. There's 700,000 people, federal civil servants serving the public, that are in that position. At the same time, this government lockout has left 750,000 federal workers truly locked out of their jobs, not able to work, not able to show up at their jobs. And again, these people are also not receiving a paycheck. And it's also important to really understand the scope of the work that the federal government does. I think the audience here is acutely aware that the federal workforce is not just located in one small part of the country. It is diverse and spread out throughout the whole of the country. 85% of the federal workforce, in fact, is outside of the DC area. So this is having a far-reaching economic impact just by the fact that you have federal workers that are not receiving paychecks. And as we go into next week, it'll be 2 full paychecks, a full month plus that federal workers have not been paid. There's a simple reason why we're in this situation, and it's a pretty ugly truth. But the real truth here is that Republicans have refused to negotiate a short-term funding deal with Democrats. We don't have a bipartisan agreement that can get through the House and the Senate with bipartisan approach. So instead of that, what we have right now is we have a short-term funding bill that the House Republicans passed on their own back in September. And then they left town. The House of Representatives has not been in legislative session since September 19th. They have taken this whole time off. So there's not been one bill that has been passed out of the House since they passed the short-term funding and left town. The idea here was to force the Senate to pass their bill. There's a number of reasons why this has not happened. Put plainly, it's the real issue here is that Senate Democrats look at this continuing resolution, this short-term funding bill, and they see legislation that doesn't address the pressing needs that Americans have right at the moment. And I can get into exactly what those issues are. But I also want to just, before we move on, I want to make sure we're very clear about this shutdown and what this means for workers, right? So working people who are showing up for their federal government jobs, they still have obligations. They have a mortgage, or they have a rent. They have childcare costs. They have transportation costs. They have all the daily bills, the day-to-day expenses, and also the emergencies that show up. But they don't have a paycheck. Furloughed employees, the ones that are locked out and really not on the job, and also not getting a paycheck. Some of them can take second jobs, but a lot of times they can't take a job in their line of work because of ethics concerns. If you're an accountant, you can't necessarily take an accounting job, a freelance gig, because there might be ethical issues and your agency won't approve them. So what we end up seeing from our members a lot of times is we're seeing people that are engineers, that are scientists, picking up gig work, delivering groceries on apps, things like that. That's sort of the reality people are facing right now. We have our members that are locked out and not at work right now are also able to apply for unemployment insurance. People are hitting food banks. it is, we're getting to the point where people have, if they have emergency savings, they've dipped into their emergency savings. They're taking loans out of their TPS accounts. This is sort of the reality of where they are. We also have people who really just see their jobs and careers on the line here. People choose to work in the civil service, and now they're facing a circumstance where they have been bullied for the better part of almost a year now, 11 months, and it's a real question about whether this makes sense for people to continue this work when there's so much unpredictability, when you have a federal government that is going after and really just bullying its own workforce, creating hostile work environments as a matter of policy. It's really breathtaking and horrific to see, and you see the human toll on the workforce across agencies, across whole departments, across whole agencies. There's also, it's really important to make very clear that there is a direct impact on the public services that federal workers provide. I can give an example from our members. For instance, we represent people that work at NOAA. This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency. Our members work in the NOAA fisheries in the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. Right around this time, they start doing fish stock surveys. So they do these assessments. They go out on boats. If they're doing assessments on salmon runs, they go out to the rivers, and they perform an assessment on how much the commercial fishing industry can fish, so they don't overfish and destroy their ability to earn a profit in the next year. This is work that supports commerce. It supports people that work in the fishing industry. This is how the fish that you buy in the grocery store gets there. This is really key work, and this is work the private sector can't do. Right? They won't take it on. It's not profitable for them to do, but they count on this data. That work is not happening right now. So when the federal government does open, and we hope it does open soon, this work is going to have to get done in a breakneck amount of time. It's going to be really difficult. It's going to make it so it's going to be a little more expensive for the industry if they have to wait on this data. If they don't wait on this data, they risk overfishing and just depleting the fishing stock for the next season. Also, we represent people at NASA, as President Dimondstein mentioned. The federal science budget is just being decimated right now by this administration. That budget doesn't just stay at those federal agencies. It goes to universities, it goes to the private sector, it passes through, and it supports STEM education efforts. It really goes out throughout the whole country. And as we're just completely gutting the federal science budget, whether it's at NASA or the National Science Foundation, at NOAA, at EPA, we really are just undermining the subject matter experts that do groundbreaking research, but also keep our communities safe, keep pollution out of our water, right? And what we're really seeing is people leaving these jobs right now. It's accelerating in the government shutdown as people are making these decisions and choices right now, unfortunately. And then people that are working during the shutdown, they're being stretched thin at the job as well, not just financially, but at the job. We're hearing from our members, that have to go into work in building facilities that don't have maintenance people. So a light bulb goes out, there's nobody to change the light bulb. It's creating unsafe work environments. And then, there's things that we count on as a labor union. For, the National Labor Relations Board, for instance, right now, is not functioning. So there is a backlog of cases building up at the National Labor Relations Board. And I'll also get into how it's not working in another way as well in just a minute. So one of the things I also want to say here is that while all of this is happening, we represent our members because we're a labor union, but we are struggling to represent our members under the law because right now we are seeing, during the largest shutdown, we also have the largest federal sector or largest union busting effort anywhere in the United States, in the history of the United States, is happening right this moment. The Trump administration at the end of March issued an executive order that willfully misreads the law and breaks the law by applying a section of the collective bargaining law for federal workers that's meant to apply to intelligence agencies and make sure that intelligence agencies don't have bargaining rights because of the type of work they do. They have misapplied that broadly across hundreds of thousands of agencies, hundreds of thousands of federal workers at, I believe it's over 20 agencies now. And this basically covers almost all of our federal workers that we represent. So we don't have the protection of statutory bargaining rights at the moment. And again, this is entirely unlawful. So if you can just imagine how breathtaking the largest union busting effort in the history of the United States is, it's happening at this moment in a cloud of so many things that are also unlawful that this government is doing. And finally, that's really the point about this shutdown that our union has made again and again, is that we just fundamentally cannot accept what this administration is doing. It is a government that is breaking its own laws. During the shutdown, we've seen a reduction in force or layoffs happening at federal agencies. The Trump administration has issued about 4,000 layoffs. While that's not a lot, it's an interesting thing that they're doing. They're making a point that they can do layoffs during a government shutdown. And we want to be as clear as possible. This is a violation of the law. When Congress has not appropriated the money to function, this administration is saying they don't need the authority, they don't need the go ahead from Congress to do this. We're also seeing something like $11 billion right now in infrastructure projects that some of our members do at the Army Corps of Engineers in states like New York, California, Maryland, and Massachusetts that are being withheld. And that is an arbitrary decision that the administration is doing. It's a targeted arbitrary decision. Before this shutdown, we've seen this administration withholding funds, billions of dollars of funds, whether it's life-saving science that the National Institutes of Health are doing, or billions of grants going to states that the administration thinks are the enemies of the administration. It's a tremendous violation of the law and overreach of executive authority. That power to appropriate funding, that belongs to Congress, and it's defined in the Constitution as clear as day. It's Article 1 of the Constitution, and this administration is hell-bent on breaking it again and again and again. One last thing I'll say is they've really also turned the screws on the federal workforce well before this shutdown. We've seen 150,000 people across the federal government take a deferred resignation offer. This is the fork in the road offer, if you can remember back to January 2025, when the Trump administration offered this basically this buyout, and the threat behind the buyout was, if you don't take the buyout, you'll be laid off, and really, to drive the point home, federal workers felt bullied, right? They felt bullied into taking this, and they were told again and again, including our members, that if you don't take it, you'll be laid off. Your agency may be reorganized. And the thing that we heard most strikingly especially from our members that work at NASA, some of these are scientists and engineers that can't really do the work they do anywhere else other than NASA. They've built their careers around working for the civilian space and aeronautics agency. They were told that no one is coming to save them. Congress can't intervene. Congress sets budgets. They provide spending for the government, but the executive branch now is breaking the law. So that's really the stark thing that we're seeing here. And instead of solving problems, right, we do need congressional Republicans to just understand that this administration is not doing them any favors. It's not doing the American people any favors. And we need a bipartisan approach to ending this shutdown. And just taking back that balance of power that Congress is supposed to have, so the executive branch can't just run and do whatever they want, run roughshod over the Constitution and over our rights. So I've gone on for a long time here, but I just want to make sure.
And we really appreciate, but we do have to keep moving,
Sure.
and we hope you'll stay on in case there are any questions. Thanks Absolutely. So much for us. Next up, and it's great, Brother Ahmad, joining us from all the way from the West Bank under the most difficult of circumstances. Solidarity knows no borders and should know no borders. So we're extremely pleased that you're able to join us brother, we had a very moving letter, appeal to solidarity that your president, Brother Dowd, sent us when we were in conference a couple weeks ago with a few thousand people there that we shared. But we very much know, and our union's very clear on this, that the war crimes being committed in Gaza and beyond is being funded by the tax dollars of the people of the United States in the way that our government, the U.S. government, is using them, and that's something we completely oppose. And we're really, really pleased that you're able to join us and share what our brother and sister and union family postal workers are facing in Palestine. Brother, thanks again. It's all yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, APWU team, for inviting me to this important meeting and for sharing our statements and letters with your comrades and colleagues across the United States. It is a very shame news that your government using the tax fund to support the Israeli regime to kill people in Gaza and to make a blockade in the West Bank and to support settlers across the West Bank and Gaza to build new settlements and to have the pastoral lands and pastoral colonization. Thank you very much. And we finally met again, three unions, APWU, CUPW, and PPSW, after Labor Notes 2018 was last meeting together. And the greeting from Palestine from the West Bank, it's almost a new day in November 6th in my region. I would like to express the solidarity of postal workers of Palestine to both postal workers in Canada and US on their struggles and achievements and negotiation. We are postal workers of Palestine continue our jobs under very hard condition and in a tough time. Our union, the Palestinian Postal Workers Union, PPSW, now organize more than 600 workers in the West Bank and Gaza. We finally get news from postal workers, our beloved people in Gaza, that we have some of them were killed at the war and we have some of them still surviving and they need special aid and support. Our affiliates work in post office, sorting center, mail delivery, and drivers across the country in both private and public sector. We also succeed to organize a small local delivery companies, workers who delivering some packages and online e-commerce. However, public postal workers in our country face a very difficult conditions and a lack of human rights. I mean, human rights, we treated as a non-human being. We are facing a daily challenge, a daily problems. There are over than 1,000 checkpoints and gates in a very small, tiny area, West Bank. So across the West Bank, these military barriers stops and delay the mail flow between the cities. And the situation becomes worse because postal workers have not received full payment and salaries since 4 years. Especially at the last 5 months, we didn't receive any payment, any salaries. Why? Because the Palestinian Authority suffers from financial restrictions and the Israeli control over all taxes revenue under which called Paris Economic Agreements. Still, we continue our work because our beloved people depend on us. So people in Palestine cannot waiting for stop postal services, but we still continue because we're delivering health and humanitarian mail that people need, and it's as a very necessary and essential for our people. And our daily life is full of danger. Some of our members' homes were destroyed totally in Gaza and partly in West Bank in both the Tulkarm and Jenin camps. They deported the people, and we starting helping our affiliates in that area. Communication with Gaza team is slowly coming back, as I mentioned before. And in West Bank, we have a special case, but it is the settlers attack work. Settlers attacks every day workers and farmers and stop them from reaching their lands and all harvest. As you saw in the media, we have a very violent settler attack across the West Bank. Just yesterday, Israeli settler killed a Palestinian man at the Hebron North entrance checkpoint, which I use daily to reach my work and home back. So how can I save my life? I don't know. Also, yesterday or so, settlers plowed my family land by force, stopped us from planting, and tried to take it with guns and the support of the Israeli army and police. So many of our relatives also and children in Hebron lost their lives at the checkpoints because it is prevent the ambulance from reaching the hospitals, and ambulance also firefighters stopped at these checkpoints. I would like to share a hundred of videos shows the violence of settlers across West Bank and forward of workers and all of harvest people who is harvesting their olives. It's the time to harvest the olive in the West Bank, and the main resource to have olive oil, so people cannot reach their farms to harvest. Even with all these, we keep working with hope and peace. We reject violence and call for human dignity only. Our struggle is no longer only political, but it's more a human and social struggle, and could be a labor work struggle, a labor ecosystem struggle. So I would like to thank you all on behalf of PPSWU, and also express my solidarity with Canadian Postal Workers Union, with Canadian Postal Worker for their struggles and challenges that they face again. And we ask for more campaigns. We saw the campaigns across the United States and Canada and everywhere to support Palestine and asking to stop the war, also to stop supporting the Israeli regime. I would like to ask for more support, for more solidarity, for more maybe fundraise to share our story in your unions also, and defend our rights to work and to live in peace. Please let the whole of the world know that we only want to live in peace and the freedom. Solidarity from Palestine, and thank you very much for having me.
Well, brother, I can't tell you how much people on this call appreciate your courage and your message of solidarity. And the AP, I can speak for the APW leadership. We're solidly with you. Obviously, whatever we've done, and we've done some, we need to do more. And so we are with you. We do want to encourage people. We do have a way to contribute to the union and therefore the lives of our brother and sister and union postal union family on the West Bank and in Palestine. I think we can get it up on the screen. I'm still on this phone, so I can't see it all. But it's bit.ly/PAL, PAL, -union -support. Perfectly legal. The money will get into the hands of the union, which they will then distribute as they see fit to help keep their members afloat in these most difficult of times. And let's never forget, since we live here in the United States, that it is our own government that is fueling these war crimes and the kind of condition that the brother eloquently shared with us. So did that get on the screen? Did people were able to see it? Please write it down. And just if you want to contribute, just don't contribute yourself. Do that and then talk to your coworkers and your family members and your neighbors and your friends and the community folks you're involved with, and see if we can really provide some monetary solidarity, as well as we will continue the political solidarity and the fight to bring these atrocities to a close, and then provide the human responses that are needed to rebuild the lives of our brothers and sisters and family in Palestine. So thanks again so much, brother. The next speaker, and really the last speaker, I have another issue I'll talk about, but the last speaker, Sister Jasmine. And Sister, just share with us, many of us on the call probably saw you at the convention in 2022, but we understand there's new battles and new plans, so we wanted to invite you on to share with us not what's going on, but what we can do to help. Thank you for joining us, Sister Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you so much, APWU family, for having us here. I'll keep this brief. We organized our stores starting in Buffalo, New York in 2021 due to issues with COVID safety, and our campaign quickly took off. We now have 650 unionized Starbucks stores across the country,
Great.
which encompasses around 12,000 plus unionized baristas. We love what we do. We love to send you off in the morning, afternoon, and evening with your favorite coffee beverage. Right now, we are fighting for a contract. In 2024, Starbucks created a new path forward with our union, Starbucks Workers United, and committed to the workers that they would finalize a fair contract in 2024. They failed to, well, let me use my words carefully. Negotiations are no longer happening because Starbucks wasn't willing to offer us a serious wage that would bring our baristas, that would have us be able to afford a living. And so currently where it stands is we authorized a strike authorization vote, and over 93% of our members have voted to go on an open-ended strike. So if Starbucks fails to come to the table with new proposals that address the needs of the people that work at the stores, then we will be prepared to go on strike starting on November 13th, which is their coveted Red Cup Day, which is a high sales day for them. There will be rallies and actions in different cities. And our union is strong. We're ready to do whatever it takes to get this fair contract. Starbucks has continued to ignore our demands, which is why we voted to authorize this open-ended strike. They know where we stand. They need to finalize this contract before the holiday season begins. And we're calling on Starbucks to deliver on pay, staffing, hours, and protections that baristas need. The ball is in Brian Nichols' court. The people that work at Starbucks are brothers, sisters, moms, dads, children, people just like all of you that are just trying to simply get by. We're not able to keep up with our bills, being able to feed ourselves. A lot of our members are on SNAP, receive SNAP benefits. And in order to qualify for the benefits that Starbucks offers, you have to be scheduled a certain number of hours to get those benefits. And a lot of our members just aren't scheduled that. So they're having to scramble to pick up work at different stores that are not their own in order to make ends meet. Our contract is about making Starbucks the best job in retail. And while the CEO will say that they offer fair pay, it's really up to the managers to schedule you that way. And our fair contract is a critical way for the company to turn around. They're failing baristas and customers alike. If you go into a Starbucks store and you see a line wrapped around the building, or a cafe full of people, if you look behind the bar, you'll probably see only a couple baristas that are working. And it's just not sufficient. It's causing for you to have to wait longer. It puts a lot of extra stress on the baristas. And so we've come together with proposals to address these issues, and we need Starbucks to finalize this contract. So, how can you help? We're preparing to do whatever it takes to get Starbucks to come back to the bargaining table. And so we are asking our customers to sign our no contract, no coffee pledge. This no contract, no coffee pledge will send you updates about what we're up to, and it'll let you know what events are going on across the country. We're asking that members do not cross the picket line while baristas are on strike. There's also a website, nocontractnocoffee.org, where you can go on and plug in your city, state, and you can see where the different rallies and actions are happening. If you see a picket line, join us. Grab a sign, show support to the workers. We're definitely going to need it. And thank you so much for hearing us out and our update, and we will get this contract.
Thank you so much, sister, and all the brothers and sisters and family at Starbucks that are stepping up. I think there's something on the screen where you have a QR code. Is that where everybody can see it?
Yep, there's a QR code that
So if
people can just put their phone up to the screen, and you can scan it with your phone. Or you can go to nocontractnocoffee.org. You can sign the pledge there. That is the immediate need, is for people to sign the pledge. And there's also, you can plug in your address and see where there are actions and just attend the action. Let the baristas know that you support them, and please don't cross the picket line. Shop while we're on strike, shop a local coffee shop, or stay at home, but we need to, together we can get this done.
Great. So here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going on a little longer than I had predicted. So most of the questions that came in advance dealt with how can we help and what can we do. So we've had a lot of that. So let me share one final solidarity appeal, and then we'll summarize each one of the steps that people can take. So yesterday morning, along with President-elect Jonathan Smith, as we're doing our week of transition here, we had a chance to meet with Sarah Nelson, the president of the Association of Flight Attendants. And they're part of a huge organizing campaign in relation to Delta Airlines. And Delta Airline is not only the largest airline, it's the only large non-union, essentially non-union airline left in the United States. And so we have a role to play there, like all other union people do and working people. And what they've asked us to do is, number one, if you know any flight attendants, family, neighbors, friends, friends of friends, friends of children, whether nieces or nephews or whatever, to connect them to the union organizing drive by going to Delta AFA. That's Delta one, nothing in between, no break. DeltaAFA.org. To connect that flight attendant to the union organizing campaign. And for those who do travel some, if you're in the airport, you don't have to be flying Delta, whether you're flying Delta or another airline. If you can provide some visible support to the union, the AFA has lots of stickers and a campaign, and you can also get those from the website that they have as well. So those are two ways we can help there. So let's see if I can summarize. I may call back on all of you. So on Starbucks, nocontractnocoffee.org. Am I right, Jasmine? And you can take a pledge. You can find out where rallies are. And again, solidarity is not talk. Solidarity is action. So please, all of you on the call, not just take action, but encourage your coworkers, your APW union members you work with every day and beyond to join you in these solidarity actions. In terms of the Palestinian Postal Workers Union, again, you can contribute money to help people afloat and survive in these most difficult times. Our postal union family in Palestine, bit.ly/pal-union-support. We got it up on the screen? All right. On the Faraz, when you got done, I failed to mention that we have one basic ask on the question of the government lockout of our federal worker family. And that is to simply call your congresspeople, particularly your senators, and tell them to end this shutdown lockout, but not just end it on the terms of the Republican CR, but end it on terms that protect the least amongst us on health care and the health care costs in this sick medical system that we have. But nevertheless, it's what we have right now. And so you can do that two ways with us. You can text call 91990. Did I get that right? Call 91990 or dial 844-402-1001. And that will take you as an APW member right to your, I think first there's a message, and then it will take you right to your senator's office. And do that urgently, as all of these struggles require some urgency. But there may be, if we keep the pressure on, because guess what, folks? The workers are starting to take matters into their own hands, and that's a good thing. And if this country has to be shut down by workers standing up for their rights, then so be it. And that may be the shortest way to end what is now, unfortunately, the longest lockout of the government workers that we've ever had, at least in modern times. So again, you have those numbers. And Sister Jan, I think you said to go to cupw.ca?
That's right, Mark.
cupw.ca will
Right.
take you into their website for various actions that can take place. And again, on that issue, remember, folks, what Canada Post is trying to do, they don't act alone. You don't think the United States Postal Service and the United States government, these billionaires that want to seize what belongs to the people, aren't helping to fund and drive forward the attacks on the Canadian Union of Postal Workers? Because they want that what they're trying to do there is what they want to do here. So again, and Sister, anything else that you want us to do, if you ever want us to go to the Canadian embassies and consulates in the United States, just let us know and we will jump into action. So I just want to thank all the panelists who came to share these powerful stories, all of you who joined us tonight. And remember that solidarity is the apple of our eye. And when we're together in solidarity, certainly the world can be ours. And when we're not, they're going to pick us off one at a time, whether we're in the United States, whether in Canada, whether in Palestine, whether we're federal workers or whether we're semi-federal workers like postal workers or whether we're private sector workers. So with that, keep up all the fighting spirit out there, everybody. Please make these calls, go on the website, share it, and let's play our part in powerful solidarity with all of these important struggles you've heard from and about today. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Be well. Solidarity forever.